Hi everyone. I hope. So hi everyone. I'm Jassi Oberai. So let us wait for a few more people to join. Since this is not Insta, so I can't figure out who's online. So anybody who's keen can always say hi. If I'm audible or not, please point it out. I hope I'm audible. Yeah, there are 9 people right now online. Let us wait for a few more people to join, and then we will begin. Just hi, Avik. Just a minute. Let me just check the connectivity. There's something wrong. Just a minute. Just allow me. Okay. Hi, Sojit. Hi, Malay. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Sagar. See, today's session, I thought I've been watching maximum sessions which have been happening at Godox page. Hi, Vidit. And I realized that most of the mentors and almost all of the mentors have actually have spoken about Godox slides, and including me in my previous session, and photography and how to set up light, and wedding photographers have been sharing their wonderful knowledge about how do they use lights in their practical conditions, so practical scenarios. And I'm not a wedding photographer, so and I thought that how about talking different things today. Let this session be open. Yes, the platform is Godox. If you have any questions on Godox, I'm ready to answer. And so how about talking anything and everything about photography that you face as challenges in your life as a photographer? It could be on fashion, it could be on beauty, it could be on portraiture, it could be a studio shoot. Uh, Thank you, Viral. So I think excitement is mutual, because it's always exciting and honorable to be on an illustrious platform and talking to passionate photographers. There's nothing more exciting than that. So I'm doing good, Mohammed. So we can talk about anything and everything about photography, provided you are keen. So until unless I get to hear information from you, or as in form of a question, then we can proceed. Or if you want me to talk only about lights and gears and what kind of lights, and then we can talk about that. I'm flexible there. So I would want to see the affirmations coming from who are watching the session now, who are a part of the session. So anybody please share. So we can talk a lot. We can talk about the lockdown and how do you manage during these days, and what you feel that the way business will happen in times to come after the lockdown is over. What is your opinion? How are you trying to manage this lockdown? Trying to enhance your knowledge. The fact that you are attending these sessions is a clear indication that you guys are trying to imbibe as much as you can and take full advantage of the opportunity that Corona has given us. Okay. Yes, Veral. So I use of lights in product photo. See, the only thing that I am not expert at right now in terms of lighting is product photography and architecture photography. So I will not be in a position to talk in detail about that, because I've never done that. That's not my strength. So okay, what is what is rim light? Okay, so rim light is the edge light, what you get on the edge of the model. That's the rim of the model, or even a product. I think there also it's called rim light. So we use it usually to add depth to the image in terms of separate it from the background. And see, okay, now let me give you a bigger perspective. What we see, how we see things and people and subjects is three-dimensional. But when camera captures any image, it removes the depth perception from there. All we get to see is either height or the width, and the depth is gone. So how do we create depth? In portrait and fashion photography, we use it in multiple ways. One is separating separating your subject from the background, so that when you look at an image, you know that background is little behind the subject and the subject is somewhere nearer to the camera. That way the depth perception is created. And another beautiful way, and even much more enhanced way, is adding rim light. Now rim light is, you are almost adding a 3D kind of an effect, creating a 3D kind of an effect when the subject has a beautiful glow along the edges, and when used with the background light or background glow, it really creates a beautiful impact. I would not be knowing price, so I can. My request is that if you can refrain right now to me the questions regarding pricing. If somebody from Godox is there as a part of the session, they can answer it, or we'll answer it separately after the session is over. And single light, just a minute. And single light and your life, single light and my life. Okay. What do you mean by single light? So right now the light on me is single light. So I am being lit up by a single light, and there's an octa box around SL200, and then there is a grid also trying to reduce the spill over on the background. But right now you still see some background getting lighted up, and that's because of the direction of light that I have shifted now. So okay, गोडॉक्स ये सिंगल आता है या प्यार में? Being a landscape photographer, and what would you suggest as a good lens for a crop sensor camera for landscape? Okay, I do not expect landscape image questions to come, but let me answer it. Okay, a 35 mm f2.8, a 30 mm f1.4, or a 45 mm f2. Which of these lens would be most suitable? Now Sony, I don't remember what is the crop factor. I think Sony crop factor is 1. A true going on with the connectivity today. There's something wrong with the connectivity. Anyway, let me figure it out. Anyway, so when we are talking about a good lens for a crop sensor, I'm talking in terms of landscape, I'm talking about a wide angle lens. So true wide angle is 16 mm. So my suggestion would be going at least up to around 10 to 11 mm of focal length, so that you get 16 mm. If you want a multi-purpose lens through which you can shoot landscape as well and other aspects as well, then anything which is 12 or 13 mm will almost 20 mm or 22 mm, 24 mm will give you a better result, and because that will become somewhere around multiplied by 1.6, and you will get the effective focal length. So that you have to keep in mind. Yes, open aperture of f2.8 or around 1.4 will always work good, because you will gain more light there. Okay. Thank you, Nilesh, because I'm not using any external audio device. Show some of your work if possible. I'll try and do that. Hindi, so I'll have to keep Hindi and English mix. We have almost 50 audience. If you can vote for the language choice, then I can suggest and mention English only in case you are strictly English speaking guy and who does not understand Hindi. Otherwise, Hindi-English mix can always do. Okay. While using Godox 8200 Pro, what is the difference in light character for rectangular Fresnel head and bare bulb? See, whenever we are talking about any flash or any light for that matter, whenever we are comparing it with the bare bulb, then we are talking about bare bulb being the harsh light. We are trying to create harsh shadow with that. And anything which is added on to that, you are going to diffuse it or shape the light. So you have to understand bare bulb is bare. It does not help you shape the light. You are trying to, what you're trying to achieve is gain harsh contrast, and maybe even hard shadow at the background if you're trying to create if you're trying to shoot a passion portfolio in your studio. But whenever you add something to it, you are trying to shape light, you're trying to control the light in a particular manner and to get a different kind of result. So I would not say that what is recommended, because it boils down to what do you want, and you take the decision based on that. Okay. I'm using Canon 80D from past 2 years, and now I wanted to switch into full frame camera. I'm a bit confused of buying Canon 5D Mark III and 6D Mark II. Can you help me with, because I have to invest it by myself? It's a very difficult question, Sagar, because for me, I always say that first of all, you have to figure out why do you want to switch to full frame. There has to be a valid reason. And then, do you have from Canon? Do you already have some lenses which are EF lenses, which are used primarily for full frame cameras? If you have already invested in that, then you will have no option but to stay invested with Canon ecosystem, and because that makes sense. And or if you have deep pockets, then obviously you can go to any other brand as well. Other than that, there are many brands which are good. I am on Lumix, so I am enjoying the full frame Lumix S1, which is phenomenal camera, and which is being used by many wedding and fashion photographers as well, including landscape photographer like me. But other than that, you have Nikon, you have Sony to back on, and so you have to choose between the two. And I think since you are investing from your pocket, you have to weigh what is the kind of investment that you will be putting in, and which all cameras with the kind of lenses that you require will fit into that kind of budget, and then go into the comparison mode. Right now, as such, nothing is available, so you can still wait. And when things open up, when the shops open up, and then you can go to any shop nearby you and actually hand hold the camera and figure out for yourself which camera for you suits the best in terms of handling and all. In terms of results, most camera today will give you wonderful results. Okay. Some tips are capturing ambient light and flashlight in a single frame with some camera settings, some flash. See, try and understand whenever, this is a good question. And I always say this in my workshops as well, that why do you need flash? Okay, now try and understand this. This question is beautiful. Why do you need flash? I think the answer is when the light is less and you want to fill or replenish the light which is not available, so that you can capture the image at ISO 100, minimum ISO. That is when you use flash. Okay, or you want to give directional light and the available light is not directional. These are the two situations when you will be using flash. Why do we want to use flash? To replace the light which is already available, which is called ambient light. When you replace it, something like this. So right now I'm not replacing, but the room that I'm sitting in is very dark. There is no mood. The light is there. My face is lit up. It is directional also. There are shadows on this side, but there is no mood. When I want to create mood, then I will open up the window possibly, and then let that light fall on this side of the face if the window is this side, and use the flashlight to compensate for the light which is not available right now because the area is dark and whatever. So for that you always have to use do the flash exposure compensation, and decrease the intensity of the light, so that when the flash fires, the ambient light is also available and it does not get replaced by the very strong flashlight. That is very important in my opinion. How much distance between the external flash and the object of the photo? It all depends upon what do you want to achieve. You need to understand, Malay, that how light behaves. What is a harsh light and what is a soft light? And if you want the harsh light, then the distance is different. And when you want the soft light treatment on your subject or model, then the distance is different. And so understanding light principles is more important than actually finding out the exact distance from the model, because that will not work. There are no thumb rules to a good photography. There are no thumb rules. The thumb rules are only the science. The science is when you open up the aperture, then there's more light, and when you close down the aperture, then there's less light. That is science. When you bring the light source very close to the face, to the subject, that wraps up the face and it becomes a softer light, and when you take it far away, it becomes a hard light. So you need to understand and then use it accordingly based upon what you want to achieve from that particular shoot. What is the main difference between AD200 and AD200 Pro? I think I've used AD200 Pro. I will have to figure out, but mainly so if you are using, I have not used AD200 per se. So, but there was something that I remember now. There was somebody I was talking to, and the person said that he preferred AD200 Pro for one simple reason, that when we go out and shoot, outdoor shoot, AD200 is unstable. It wobbles around. It does not in windy conditions. So whereas AD200 Pro is much more stable light. Apart from that, there are many other, I think, kind of differences as well. I will also, let me I'll come to this again and probably talk to you. The main thing is the power is 200 watts only. Just a minute. Okay. Just a minute. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So the main difference between AD200 and AD200 Pro is AD200 has 8-stop power range and AD200 Pro has 9-stop power range. That's a 1-stop advantage over AD200, and 1/3 stop increment in adjustable output is AD200, and 1/10 stop again it's an advantage, huge advantage over AD200. And then recycle time is also very good in AD200 Pro, whereas it is almost 2 seconds in AD200, and it is 1.8 second in 2.1 second in AD200, and 1.8 seconds in AD200 Pro. So there are many differences. So it all depends upon what is kind of your budget and how much really you want. And the biggest difference between AD200 and AD200 Pro is its stable color temperature in AD200 Pro, which is the main advantage. But what I was talking about is my thought process when I choose any light or flash, and that you have to keep in mind, and that is basically whenever I am trying to buy something, I always would want to buy one step more than what my actual requirement is, one step better in terms of features, in terms of wattage, in terms of at least one step better. So in terms of everything, because then the technology is improving very fast, and every day new models are coming, and tomorrow suddenly my requirement would be slightly higher. How will I be able to invest continuously? So at least the least I can do is that whatever requirement that I have today and I zero in on one particular model, on any light or camera, that has been always my kind of approach. And I would try and go for one step higher in terms of features, in terms of overall performance, if it is available in the market. That way, I'm trying to future proof my requirements. I hope that that answers it well. How many photographers use black and white photos? What is the best way to edit Photoshop or shoot in camera? Black and white. Many photographers. What is the best way to edit photo? Okay, yeah, shoot. See, first of all, shooting in camera, I presume that you are thinking that when you shoot in camera, the best possible way, when you become perfect in shooting with the camera, you don't need to post-process your images. I think that's a myth that one has to understand, that it does not work that way. You will still have to post-process your images. How much can be debatable, how much will depend upon what you want to achieve through that. And when we are talking about black and white, my take is always shoot in raw. While shooting, do the picture profile, set the picture profile to black and white, so that I can see at the back of my camera how will the image look when I convert it into black and white, and then I will take that raw into Photoshop or Lightroom and convert it into black and white as per my taste, or as per the client's taste. But yes, post processing is important, it is required. When I use CPL while doing long exposure, I get high vignetting around the corner. How to rectify it? That is when the CPL that you're using is not of very high quality, Pratyush, and it has a metal ring which is obstructing the angle of view of your lens that you are using. So in that scenario, it is important that you use a little expensive than what you are using right now, which has a very thin frame and which does not obstruct the light which is entering the lens from the corners, and that way you will not get the vignetting. Okay. We would love you to make a tutorial video on focus stacking or image blending in Photoshop possible. Yes, we are working on that. We will be doing that. We are also roping in other mentors for YouTube, where they will be also sharing their knowledge, and so we will be creating these videos as well on focus stacking and image blending in Photoshop and even probably Lightroom. So we are working on that very soon. Pranay, vadiya hai ji, vadiya. Shri Krishna, is light meter preferred in studio or camera? Okay, inbuilt light meter will work, or check histogram. Whenever you making use of inbuilt light meter in the camera, you have to use histogram to figure out how is it performing and what is the final result. So they both go hand in hand. So is light meter preferred in studio? I would suggest, I was always recommend yes. I think you've not seen our video on light meter in studio. And why do you want to get light meter in studio? I recommend that you visit our channel Exploring Light, X with X, not E. Exploring Light is the studio YouTube channel. There we have created 2 videos on light meter. And in the second video, which was released almost a month back, it is 4th or 5th video from the top. You can go and check. There we are talking about contrast ratios. So what is a contrast ratio? Telling you briefly why do you need that light meter in studio. When you are using a single light, you will get the light. You might still use your camera inbuilt light meter and check histogram to figure out whether you are getting the right results or not. But let us say hypothetically and all practicality, you want to use more than one light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, maybe 1 directional light, 1 fill light, 1 rim light, 1 background light. So all these lights need to be set up perfectly in right proportion so that each light creates its own impact. We cannot have a situation today that I fix one light, then second light I fix, and I keep shooting, taking multiple test shots to figure out whether it is working or not. And when it doesn't work and I say that no, it's not working, so let me keep on changing the settings. This will actually waste a lot of time of ours, and we still will not be able to get the perfect result. With light meter, what I am able to do is control this entire process of selecting the intensity of light or different lights in a particular setup by using light meter. So it actually eases my process, the overall workflow, and ensures that I do not waste any time, and I control the lights in the minimum time and get the best results out. Okay. When is a medium frame required as compared to Shri Krishna? When I would become somebody like Ansel Adams, when I'll become somebody like, see, jokes aside, the moment we are trying to get into a high, extremely high quality commercial work or advertising or fashion photography work where I am getting paid so well that I can justify the price of the medium format that I am using, until that time I will not use it. It's as simple as that. So medium format does give you an advantage, obviously, why not? But why would I want to use it if my skill levels are low or I'm not getting paid to justify the use of medium format? I hope you're getting my point. Okay. I love Godox products. Want to purchase 3 numbers Godox 860 V2. Where can I get a good deal from Godox? I too love Godox products, Terence. The only thing right now I can say is that I think this question I cannot answer at this point of time because first, we are all in a global lockdown because Corona is on a world tour. And I don't know from where he has applied the visa where it can enter without permission and do create all the havoc that it should not be doing. But jokes aside, right now nothing is available anywhere. So there's no point even me answering. So my only suggestion to you will be, the moment things open up, the moment we get into a situation where the products availability happens and the products are in a position, the companies are in a position to start sending products through courier or whatever, that is the time when you can come to Godox India page and request for the best price and maybe the dealer network, and then you will be able to get it. Otherwise, wherever you are, if you approach your nearest dealer who sells Godox, he should also be in a position to give you the best price. That's my belief. Okay. Amar Panchal, hello sir, I want to buy flashlight but little bit confusing on which one I buy, Canon Speedlight, AI Flash or Godox 8200 Pro. What is better for a Canon 80D? It is not about that. It is about what is, if you go for, it's basically price versus features versus result. Whenever you buy anything, you look at 3 parameters. One, obviously, apart from, before these 3 parameters, I'm talking about the compatibility part. So whatever you're buying has to be compatible with your camera. So all Godox flashes are compatible with the camera provided used with a proper trigger. So Canon compatible trigger. Done. Number 1 taken care of. Now number 2, whether Speedlight or Godox 8200 Pro, I suggest take a pen and piece of paper and write down the on one side Speedlight. What will it help you achieve, number 1, and what is the price, and 8200 or 8200 Pro, what is it will help you achieve. And the price, I think you will always go for AD200 Pro because of the price point and the versatility and the flexibility that it gives you. And on top of that, you would have come on a Godox platform, on an ecosystem where tomorrow you can continue adding more lights as per or flashes as per your increased requirement and needs without having to bother about the compatibility part, which is not going to be possible with speed lights. How to take a couple or a model pic with flash without killing the background. Understand contrast ratios. Please head to my channel. There I've used Godox lights and a Seconic light meter. And Maulik, let me say the spelling here. XPLORINGLIGHT. On YouTube, check for contrast ratio video. You will know how to do that without killing background. And I don't know what you mean by killing background, because we don't kill, we only enhance it or degrade it. Suggest a large diffuser for outdoor photography which will be easy to carry and portable in easy. Riju, you are asking me that you want something but without compromising with too many these things. So I will say that again, large means how large? I would say that I think what I'm using is 120 mm Godox diffuser or almost an octabox. So that is easy to carry, easy to fix, and portable. So yeah, so it will work in both ways. Yes, it is for it is by Godox and to be used on Godox lights. So you can check that. I think that is one of the best. I keep on carrying whenever I do and go outside. Okay, sir, I have a problem with X Pro Fuji trigger with Fuji X-T3 camera. I can't change the flash mode through, can't do with TTL without trigger also. How can you help me? I would suggest anybody from Godox either watching right now to take a note of this question and please help Salesh out. And Salesh, to you, if you do not get an answer from anybody on this thread, you can post this question separately on Godox India page, and I'm sure somebody is going to help you, because what challenges are you facing? Right now I can't even figure that out, and it will not be right on my part to even try and get into the mode of figuring out what the challenges could be and trying to find a solution without seeing the real problem firsthand. Depends on what do you want to do. AD200 has more power as compared to Canon Speedlight. Yes, Sri Krishna has actually given some answers. So battery recharge is again one thing. Any specific measures to be taken while using CPL? Okay, what is CPL? Vidya, you need to understand CPL it's not meant to cut down light, number one. It is meant to reduce the reflection from reflected surfaces which are there in your frame. Mostly water, reflecting leaves, very clean and neat leaves, and sometimes stones as well in landscape. And so when we use CPL, we have to be very clear and understand that it cannot work in all lighting conditions. So it will typically work in, broadly speaking, mid-afternoon light. So in an in a time span of almost 2 to 3 hours beyond afternoon time, so 12 to 3 or 4 is the time when the sun is at a particular angle. That is when your CPL will work the most. When you rotate the CPL, you see through the viewfinder, you should see reflection getting cut. The moment reflections are cut, you should stop. The moment you go beyond that, chances are high that it is going to ruin your image, especially when you're not using a very high quality CPL. How to read histogram? Histogram typically is a graph which has values from 0 to 255, 256 tones of light it covers, and um, um, 0 being the darkest and the 255 being the brightest. So it's a tonal range between these shadows and highlights. So you will have to understand that if it is a perfectly exposed image, then chances are high that the histogram graph will be evenly balanced. And the only thing that I can tell you in this limited session and time is that there is nothing called right histogram or wrong histogram. Um, anything, if I wanted to shoot a high key image and my histogram is showing to be shifting towards the darker areas of the graph, then my histogram is wrong. So my histogram has to represent what I wanted to shoot. Okay, so I am using 8060 to play light and Godox SK400 and export trigger. I am confused in buying Godox FV200, single light and double light, kit packaging. Why are you confused? Why are you wanting to buy? What is your purpose? See, let me tell you, if my request to everyone here is that if you ask a question, be very specific, because if I ask a question something like this, that I have one camera, Lumix S1, and I'm confused whether I should buy Lumix S1R or not. It doesn't give any clue to the person who is to answer, because he doesn't. I'm not told him why do I want to buy S1R and why I'm confused. So your specificity has to come clearly so that to help us answer. Does histogram play a most important role in dealing with the natural light? It plays an important role in understanding how did my final result come. If I wanted a darker image, then the histogram has to show lighter or properly or overexposed high key image. Then also the histogram has to show. So histogram is the representation of the final outcome in terms of exposure values of the image. So it is not about natural light, it is not only about studio light, it is not about mixed light, it is about light, it is about exposure. And everywhere, not only landscape photography, everything. AD300, I think Godox can answer directly when can it come, because we all know that all shipments are stopped, so we don't know when they will open and when the equipment will start coming. Difference between bounced silver coated reflector and direct with the white umbrella diffuser, which you using in wedding reception? I am not I'm not into wedding, so I'll not be in a position to answer, but both are totally different. When we are talking about silver coated, we are talking about harsh reflected light falling on the face of your model or subject, or even the bride or groom if you are in a wedding. And white umbrella diffuser gives you a totally different kind of result. So you will have to figure that out. And again, let me repeat this answer. Choice of anything will depend upon what outcome you want. I might have my own liking, but it does not matter, because I'm not going to be shooting along with you in a real-time situation. So you will have to figure out what kind of outcome that you require. 800D with 1855, what settings should I do to blur the background? Blur the background, you need to understand that it is dependent upon the aperture size, and 1855 I think has 3.5 as the widest open aperture at 18 mm. If I'm not wrong, I'm not thorough right now, I don't exactly remember, but you can check out. So your widest aperture will always help. Is it advisable to change the lens guard on regular basis? What is lens guard? Can you repeat that? Because I am not getting what lens guard is. Sir, I want to know which type of bulb Godox use. I really don't know, because see, if it comes with a Godox flash or Godox light, it is a Godox bulb. It really does not matter from where they procure, whether they manufacture, which brand. It really does not matter. For me, it's a Godox bulb, and I think that's enough for me. Um, okay, let me something to Godox 860. Why lights are not firing like without sync? Dilip, what do you mean by this? When you use Godox light in high sync, why lights are not firing like without sync? What do you mean by that? So is the recycle time is slow? What is that you are trying to ask here? In what sense they do not behave as being in without or non-high sync mode? So if you can repeat your question and be more specific, it will help me answer that. Okay, and then, but not on camera, you can work. Oh, okay, some people are answering. Thank you guys if you're answering to certain questions. Is compatible with Godox 8400 Pro shooting outdoor for couples and models? I think softbox compatibility, I think, how to answer that? When we are going outside, you need to figure out what size that you want, and so I don't get this answer, because this question, because which softbox is compatible? Compatibility will come with the mount, and the size will depend upon what you want to achieve as a final result. Um, so I think be a little more specific so that I can answer that as well. Can you suggest a variable ND filter and how much it can cost? Variable ND filter, Riju, if you are looking to buy for your portraiture work or pre-wedding or wedding work, then I would recommend that you opt for variable ND, and you can check Nissi as well. Nissi is a wonderful filter brand. You can check that. But if you are looking for landscape, then my suggestion will not be in favor of variable ND, because they are not the right kind of filters for landscape photography. So my recommendation in that case would be to go in for a specific ND filter of a specific strength. But yes, Nissi is good. You mean protection filter? You mean UV filter? You mean Sayantan? He means, okay. He means protection filter, ND filter, UV filter. My recommendation is no, because UV filter ends up degrading the light quality, and I will not recommend that unless you are shooting in a condition or outside condition or surroundings which are stormy, which are sandy in nature. That means there are large sand particles in form of a dust, and it is very dangerous when the wind blows, and they can actually hit on your front element and damage it. Unless that is the situation, I will not use a UV filter, because that ends up decreasing the overall quality of my image. If you still want to attach something, then I would recommend a clear glass filter of very high quality. And UV also, if you want to use, you can go for a very high quality, which is slightly expensive, but then at least they will not degrade to that extent. Okay, it's a setup which applied in front of. So Sidesh, I think I've answered that. I shoot photos in RAW. I want to use CPL, editing in Photoshop in Lightroom. What do you suggest? I want to use CPL, editing photos in Lightroom. I think if I get your answer right, what you're saying is whether using CPL in the field and correcting images using CPL is better, or you are fixing those anomalies in post production using Photoshop or Lightroom? If that is the question, then I would say that there is nothing called which is better or which is wrong, which is not good. It is about getting the best result in your camera first with using whatever equipment you can use, and then bringing it into Lightroom or Photoshop to work on the gaps that were remaining. And I think nothing can explain, one cannot replace the other, both work hand in hand. What is that? My goodness. Talk about safety of my lights and part of keeping them in store when it is not in use. While shooting, what exactly happens inside when we use 1:1? Say when we use high power, are we killing the life of the lights? I don't think so. See, protecting your gear is always, it should always be on your top priority. You cannot ignore that. Having said that, when I have to get the result, why did I buy a camera? Why did I buy a lens? And why did I buy a flash? To finally create my image. Now, somebody asked me this question a few days back, that shutter also has a life. Should we click more, or should we start shooting less now because our shutter is losing? I said, you cannot decide on that. Just because I know that my life is up to a certain year, I will not stop living. Just because you feel that your light bulb of a flash might be losing life because you're using it continuously or using on high power, on 1:1 or whatever, that does not mean that I will not create an image if it is required. So I will still continue to use those settings irrespective of whatever, because that is why I have bought the flash in the first place. Okay. Why should we buy mirrorless? Why should we buy mirrorless? Now, okay, because mirrorless is an upcoming technology. And if my information is correct and my research is correct, almost all camera brands are cutting down on the production volumes of DSLRs now. And there will soon come a time then when almost all brands will be bringing out only mirrorless bodies. And if I go for something which is other than mirrorless today, in today's times, I am risking, and if I'm not too much into photography, in the sense that I'm not shooting much and I don't have a scope of changing my camera after 2 to 3 years, then the situation is different. Otherwise, mirrorless is an upcoming technology. It is where most of the companies are spending more money than DSLR. That's why it makes more sense to buy a mirrorless. But the lights are meant to endure and help you with the required light, so you do the lights as per your requirement. Yes, perfectly answered, Santhan. Thank you. Okay. Does MagMod modifiers replaces softbox? As till now only have MagMod. Do I need? Nothing replaces anything else. It is about what you want to achieve. Softbox is totally different. MagMod have come to give you the flexibility of using small modifiers right on the flash head without having to go elaborate and still get the best results. So I will not say one thing is replacing the other. There are times when softbox or parabolic box or octa boxes will work the best, and in some conditions only the MagMod modifiers will work the best. So it all depends upon what are you trying to achieve. It all boils down to that. It is not replacing. I don't think so. How to meter a long exposure light painting photography to properly expose it. You need to understand the um, okay, how to properly expose. Basically, you need to understand the proper principles of exposure. If I am trying to go extend my exposure either with long exposure or light painting, then I am doing it at a particular to my final decision will be what my test shot was, and based on that how many stops of light I am trying to cut down in terms of long exposure. But in terms of light painting, I am in dark, I'm in pitch dark, which I believe that you are talking on those lines only. And there's somebody who's actually creating some patterns with light on something, some subject, or just in air trying to create circles or whatever. In that scenario, my exposure will be decided by what kind of pattern I want to achieve, and for that duration my shutter will remain open, and after the moment that is achieved I will close down the shutter and I will still get the right exposure. And if I'm not getting the right exposure, if it is getting overblown, then either the light was more, or my ISO was more, or my aperture was wide open than it should have been. So I have to still control the light by using other two parameters. Because when we are talking about long exposure light painting, we are keeping the shutter open for longer duration. Uh, um, so other parameters like aperture and ISO. So I'll be controlling light, amount of light using aperture and ISO. So we'll have to figure that out while in the field. Again, there is no thumb rule because every image and every outcome will have a different setting of aperture, shutter speed and ISO. Okay. And also see exposure. Yeah, yes, and then I perfectly agree. Which lens to prefer best for capturing birds in photography? I have Canon 1200D and lens is 55-250. So 1200D 55-250, that means 250 multiplied by 1.6 is the that you are getting, but still fine to cover certain angles. What angles you want to cover? Please explain why. Where are you finding this 55-250 lens of giving you results which are not satisfying, and then only I can answer. Okay, some examples and use of flash in golden photography. Again, examples I don't have right now. Flash in golden photography. What? I think you are talking about the evening light or directional light. That is when the light is golden in color. That time you want to use flash. My suggestion would always be, I've answered this in between, that reduce the intensity of flashlight so that you are using flashlight only to fill the shadow areas, and let the golden light of the sun or the ambient light play its important part in creating the mood of the overall image. Okay, just a minute. Nowadays, which brand is best? There are other brands also. There's Nikon, now there's Canon, there's Fuji, there's Lumix, there is Sony. Should we list all? Depends upon which brand you are using. Whatever brand you are using is the best brand. I think that is the best answer that I can give. Okay. No more questions. Anybody wants to ask any further questions? Or should I throw some light on how you should be spending time during these days when things are not happening for you? It depends upon what do you want me to do. If you have any question, I am ready to answer. Photographer himself is the brand, you create yourself. Yes, I always say Godox is a brand because you all started using it and you brought it in demand and Godox became big. That is how everybody does that. And I would always recommend going by what Sayantan is saying, and I totally agree there. If I'm big enough a brand, then I will understand, and these brands will chase me and give me an option to figure out which brand is better. So make yourself a bigger brand. What will be the most important benefit of a pro photographer? Change his gear to, just a minute. Pro photographer change his gear to mirrorless. I heard that in future some companies are going to make hybrid, such as DSLR. I'm still trying to understand the question. What will be the most important benefit if a pro photographer changes his gear to mirrorless? Okay, the answer to this is the most important benefit is going to be that my camera will be probably future ready, because the mirrorless technology is the latest technology. In DSLR, the only thing that changed over a period of years, and many years to say, is the quality of the sensor, and that's it. They did not bring in much innovation over a period of years, and that is why they are suffering. Whereas mirrorless is the latest technology. Their mount is based on latest research. Their lenses are based upon latest research to help you get the best result. So that is why mirrorless makes more sense. Now coming to the second part of the question. In future, you've heard that some companies are going to make hybrids, such as use DSLR lens, no matter what they do. But the lens that is made for mirrorless will always help you get the best results compared to the other lenses, because of something called flange distance. Now, I don't have time to talk about flange distance right now. All I can say is that go and Google flange distance and you will know what I'm talking about. So, no matter what comes, without adapter, with adapter, the final result, the best result will come out from the native lenses built in for that particular mirrorless camera. Period. Add art in photography, what we can do? Be an artist. Do you suggest use of light pollution filters? I am not into any kind of external gizmos. I would always go in for what helps me cut down the light or gain light. I am not there light, but yes, in case of light pollution, there are natural night filters by Nissi also, I think, which you can look at. They cut certain wavelengths of light and help you get a better tonality of color in the sky. Should we focus on cinematography along with photography as the future? Yes, that always makes the sense, particularly in today's scenario, where finding the demand is moving towards cinematography and video creation. Why not? It makes more sense. Nissi variable ND costs around 77 mm. I'm not yet certain about the cost, so I will not be in the right position to say. And then can you help Riju with the price later on, maybe after this session? And but let me tell you, variable ND, the price range available in the market is starting from 1,500, 2,000, going up to 12 to 13 or 14,000. My recommendation is go for something which is high quality, which Nissi is. Otherwise, you will be getting something called X banding in between. X banding is dark band in the form of an alphabet X, which will ruin your final image. So don't settle for cheap. But yes, Sayantan, I think will give you the right answer. What is flash duration to freeze the strobe light? What is it? 1.1 T1. What is it? What is to freeze? Can you elaborate, Nilesh? In some time, it's sometime very time taking in order to change lenses. What do you suggest? Saurav, it's a choice. If you're shooting any commercial assignment, maybe wedding or something, then my recommendation is at least having two cameras with two lenses fitted. And if you have a budget, why not the third camera? If you have more budget, go for fourth camera. If you have even more budget, go for fifth camera. Jokes aside, go as per the budget. How much your pocket allows. One or is is a desirable beginning with different lenses fitted, and rest of the lenses you can still change because or buy as many cameras as the lenses that you want to have during a shoot. How much megapixel camera is enough for wedding photography? Megapixels don't play any role in wedding photography or helping you get good wedding photograph or wedding image. What megapixels do is helping you get more details. But in the bargain, if you buy higher megapixel camera, they might produce more noise also in low light. So stick to the norm, I think, which is the best. Anything around 20 megapixel is good enough today. And if they are still available, I think every camera manufacturer is going beyond that, and so it all depends upon what is available, and but 20 is enough. For portrait, do we get nice shot from only 85 mm or 100 mm? I don't have any of them as of now. I have 24, 105, 50 mm, 1855. See, it's not I think the answer is no. Not only from 85 mm or 100 mm. First thing, because yes, they do give, particularly 85 mm. I would say it gives you a very high quality image, but that does not mean that you cannot achieve good results with 50 mm or 24 105. So it all depends upon where you are shooting, what is the outcome that you want. If you are really getting paid well and for an assignment, be it wedding or be it anything else, and you want to really produce good results, then buying a better lens like 85 mm will always help. If not, then I think 24 105 or 50 mm will do a very good job of getting you good images. Okay, I think we are already past 1 hour. So I will now just take another 2-3 minutes in sharing what is in store for you. If you are a wedding photographer or if you are a commercial photographer, let me tell you, and if you are hoping that the lockdown should get over soon and when the event should start happening so that you can start getting work, let me tell you something which probably you have not thought of. The way this business is going to be done in future is going to be very, very different. It's going to be very, very different. You might not see large gatherings and weddings for long time to come now. Even when the lockdown opens up, even when you feel that the normalcy has returned, you will still see a lot of restrictions from government regarding high number of people gathering. Because if my understanding is right, Corona scare is here to stay. So what becomes important in this scenario is that you utilize this time to enhance your skill levels or even be ready for a practical commercial model where the client will not be ready to pay you that much the amount that he was paying till now. So you should be ready, you should be prepared, you should be prepared to work with a smaller team, you should be prepared to work with a better efficiency on your own and with minimal gears probably and with minimum support team. And that certainly is not easy, but I think that is going to become the norm in times to come. So, higher megapixel camera produce more noise. You want me to elaborate why does it do that? See, Okay, 2 minutes on that. Noise, there are three parameters to increase light. Okay, amount of light entering the camera. As per exposure triangle, if we go by. One is the aperture. Aperture size is limited to the lens that you are using. Maximum aperture opening will, if the aperture, your lens has an aperture of 2.8, you cannot get a light beyond more than that using the same size of the aperture until unless you buy a new lens which is 1.8 or 1.4 aperture size. Then comes down to shutter speed. Shutter speed also can slow down to an extent without having to use flash. Okay, now coming to ISO. Now ISO does not increase the amount of light per se, but it increases the sensitivity of sensor to the same amount of light which was present, which means that it amplifies the amount of light which is available. Even when you use flash, there will be certain areas where the flash reach is not going to happen, and higher megapixel means the pixels are crammed together on the same size of the sensor, and light gain gets compromised. And when light gain gets compromised, you want to increase the ISO, and that is when they start producing noise. That is the easiest and the simplest non-scientific explanation that I can give in a short span of time, without being sitting one-on-one and explaining things to you. So, okay. So I think we have run out of time now. So there are many questions regarding the prices. I am sure people from Godox, Syantan is here, and others will take care of those questions. And if you have any questions which are related to the errors that you are getting in your camera or flash or anything, or your trigger is not firing, or your flash is getting stuck, or it is not firing, or the bulb is gone fuse, whatever, my recommendation is that again approach Godox officials, and they should be in a position to help you out. If they can help you out over internet through some phone call and all, they will be doing that. If it requires physical examination of your gear, then you will still have to wait for the lockdown to end. Number three, there might be some questions which remain unanswered because I tried to cover as much as I could. Feel free to ask them again, and I, along with the team, will be more than happy to answer any of your queries. I decided in particular to talk open because I realized that other photographers are already giving you a download on a lot of technicalities. I have seen Neil Bose coming, I have seen Raman Batra coming, and I have seen many others coming, and I see many others are actually lined up beyond my session tomorrow, day after, and a lot of experts are lined up. And if I have any understanding about how the sessions went prior to my session, I can very clearly say them taking care of your in practical sessions of how to use light and how to use trigger and how to get the best out of your light. So I thought, let me keep it open. But so we could cover landscape, we could cover filter, we could cover CPL, we could cover flashes again, we could cover bulbs, we could cover cameras. So I hope this session was useful, and so thank you so very much. And if you want, anybody wants to connect with me and ask me any question on anything about Godox or anything, you can search me. My Facebook profile is right there in front of you, and my Instagram profile is also by the same name. You can come there, you can ask me anything. I'll be more than happy to guide you. So until next time, guys, keep enhancing your learning, keep enjoying this lockdown and utilizing it to the best of your capabilities. I'm sure Godox and other related brands are already at your service, trying to provide you with a lot of information and a lot of knowledge, and bringing you in touch with so many masters. And I am even a part of many of those sessions. So take full advantage. Take care, guys. Bye. And thank you so much for sticking by and listening to this session. Take care.